Hey guys, welcome back to Interesting Video on Wild Rift. So today we're here with the patch 4.4c rundown. So honestly, once again, not too many changes here, but of course we do have quite a number of changes, but the changes I don't think are too impactful. We're going to get into that in just a bit. So first up, we're having a new champion, Zyra. Zyra is a AP carry kind of support, so it's a little bit like a brand, but you have a little bit more utility with more CC, and also you have interesting like seed mechanics to create plans. So she will be coming out on December 22nd. I believe you can play her in the mid lane as well, so we will see how she is when she comes out. Ultra Rapid Fire, the random one is coming back on December 8th, so that's like in a day's time. And now we're gonna jump into champion changes. So first up we have Ashe. So Ashe is getting 5% extra attack speed on her Q, as well as 5% extra AD on her Q as well. Now once again, I think this is a really good change for Ashe, because I do think that she's strong, but not like overpowered. Like, I think she's in an okay spot. So I think that this change isn't really going to change very much, because 5% extra attack speed and 5% extra AD is not too impactful. Maybe the 5% extra AD in the later game will be, but 5% attack speed overall doesn't matter too much. The numbers are pretty the change in numbers are pretty negligible, so overall it's not too big of a change. Fizz, his jungle clear is getting hit once again. It's going from 105% to 90% on his passive, so his jungle clear is going to be really bad. Not really bad, but a lot worse now, and I do believe they nerfed his jungle clear a couple of times. I think they don't really like jungle Fizz. They tried to get him into the jungle, and when they did, they didn't like it, and now they're trying to get him out of the jungle, which is pretty strange. But overall, I think Fizz is still going to be very playable in the jungle, because your clear might be horrible, like Twitch for example, but you basically get, it works by getting kills by ganking and just snowballing out of control, so it's still going to work. It's just, you know, it's going to work a lot less effectively, because your clear is going to be really bad now. So Gwen, this one's a really big challenge. So apparently they're saying that Gwen has not been doing very well. Now, if you guys see my tier list, I rank Gwen as one of the top Baron laners, and also kind of near the top in terms of jungle. So I think Gwen is a very strong champion. It's just that a lot of people are not playing her very well, and I think because of that, her win rate is hit, and they're actually buffing her. So her Q, which is obviously her main point in damage, base damage is going up by 2 at all ranks, and she's also getting 1% extra AP. And damage of the last snip is now going up by 10 at all ranks, and the AP is going up by 5%. So once again, a little bit like Ashe, the changes are not the biggest, but you know, it is a slight buff. Like again, I think this is a very slight buff. So 5% AP is gonna matter in the late game, but 10 extra base damage and like 2 extra base damage is not gonna matter all that much. Again, it's just late game the AP, same as Ashe. Like very late game the AD is gonna actually help. Now, Master Yi surprisingly getting a change. Don't normally see Master Yi in the patch notes that much. So his true damage on his E is actually going up by 5 at all ranks, and you're getting 5% extra AD. So once again, this is pretty much the same thing as Ashe. Like 5 extra AD is not going to matter too much in the grand scheme of things, but the 5% extra bonus AD will matter in the later stages of the game. But Master Yi now normally goes for those kind of high attack speed builds like the Bork at the Wit's End, so he doesn't build that much AD most of the time anyway, so this may not actually matter all that much if we're going for that kind of build. Nautilus getting tankier. So first up, his cooldown is going down to 11 seconds on his W, and next up, the shield that you're getting is going to be extra 1% of your max health. Again, as I said, the common trend in this patch is this 1% extra like max health is not gonna matter like all that much until you reach very late game, because a very late game you have a lot of items, you have a lot of health, and then this will actually help. But aside from that, this really is not gonna matter all that much. 1 second cooldown reduction doesn't matter too much. 1% extra max health again doesn't matter too much as well. So I think probably the most impactful change in the patch is Zyra, of course, aside from Sona being reworked. But Zyra, her ricochet bounce damage is going down by 2% at all ranks, because her ricochets did do quite a decent amount of damage. I think it's a little bit more on the high side, although I don't think it's super crazy. But it was a little bit on the high side, so she is getting nerfed in that aspect. But I think the ultimate nerf is a lot more impactful, because you're getting hit in 3 areas. Firstly, the cooldown on your basic abilities is going down by 10% at all ranks, which it means you're going to get your base abilities up less often. Your initial movement speed is going from 20% to 15%, which is, a good 5%. That's like 1/4 of the movement speed taken out. And when you reach 8 stacks of your passive, instead of getting extra 30% speed, you're getting only extra 25% speed. So once again, the difference is plus 10%, but so they're essentially just lowering her speed by 5% at both instances of her ult, which I think this does matter a lot more, because the speed is obviously what you need to run enemies down. And I don't think that Zyra, like, her ult gives the most movement speed anyway. The point is that you can apply that movement speed to everybody on your team, but the movement speed itself I don't think is that much. Like 20% movement speed is decent, but it's not a lot. So I do think this is quite an impactful change to Zyra, and definitely will make her a lot weaker. Of course, the main reason for this is in China, she's like the highest win rate ADC, so she's quote-unquote too strong because of that win rate, which I do kind of sort of can see, but I don't really feel that she's the best. Anyways, Sona is getting a rework. So first up, her health per level is going down. So here we have, of course, her new passive, where instead of getting a bonus effect from the empowered ability, that means you obviously have the empowered blue, purple, and green one, so she no longer has that. Now instead, her next attack will deal bonus AP and will stun the target for 0.5 seconds. And yeah, so basically it's just a new passive where you stun. That seems to be very, very useful, and we'll have to see how it goes. And the cooldown of your basic abilities will be reduced by level times 2%. So that means that, for example, level 15, you're gonna get free 30% CDR. Let's say at level 10, you have free 20%, CDR, which is always going to be good. Free stats is always nice. So her Q mana cost going up slightly. Damage is going up quite a significant amount. So the base numbers and the AP both going up by a decent amount. And the bonus effect on the aura base amount is going down a little bit, but AP is the same. For her W, the healing one, the health regen is going down slightly. The AP ratio is going down slightly as well. And the shield on the aura is also going down slightly. And the AP is also going down. So it's really weird, because they seem to have buffed her damage and utility here. So they buff her damage here, but they reduce her healing and utility here, which is Sona's main purpose is like, or it used to be her W, right? So maybe Sona is now going to be a lot more of an aggressive support that you're meant to walk up and poke and auto attack and stuff, instead of just trying to heal your allies, but we'll have to see. Although this is getting hit, I do still think that in the later game, you're still going to have really strong healing and shielding on Sona, so that will of course still be good. So her E has no change, but her ult obviously no longer has this because this is not on her passive. She obviously doesn't have that straight line ulti anymore. So now what you have is aura will be reinforced for 20 seconds after casting the ability, providing a higher buff effect than usual. So basically what that aura is when you cast your Q, W, and E, there's that aura. So basically, from what I heard, the aura is now going to last longer, as you guys can see here. And not just that, but it's also going to be a little bit bigger range, if I'm not wrong. That of course is really helpful, but it's not a game changer. The game changer here is the active, where you basically play a chord that emits a sound wave every 0.75 seconds as it travels target duration. So the sound wave is a huge circle, so it's going to deal magic damage and stuns enemies that it hits for the first time for 1 second. And enemies caught inside the chord are going to be slowed. So what I'm thinking here is this is going to be huge in team fights. For example, if you launch this in into the dragon pit or something, not only is the whole enemy team going to get stunned, but they're all going to get slowed as well. So this is essentially, this is a mini rework, but it's kind of just like a buffs all across the board, except on your W for Sona. Like your R is getting a huge buff, your Q is getting a huge buff, your passive also is kind of getting buffed as well. So overall, it's kind of like a huge buff, but at the same time, it's also like a rework. So next up, we're gonna get Varus buffs. So Varus, a little bit like Ashe. So his base damage on his piercing arrow is going up by like 10, and the max damage is going up by like 15. And the AD ratio is going up by 5% in base, and by like, this is a really weird number, but like what, 7.5% at highest rank. So once again, this is quite a small change, but it is gonna matter a little bit more than the other small changes because the numbers are a little bit higher and the percentages difference are a little bit higher, 7%, 7.5% here compared to like just 5% or 1%. So yeah, this is gonna increase Varus's Q damage by a bit, and the Blight detonation is going up by 1%. Max health at all ranks by base damage, not by AP. So again, basically this is just going to make Varus a little bit stronger because Varus is really weak at the moment. I don't think these changes are going to be the ones that will make him meta again, but I think that definitely are a step in the right direction and they will probably be noticeable. So Xin Zhao has been pretty bad in the jungle for quite some time. He's getting an AD per level buff here, and also his E is getting quite a decent buff. It's getting a 10% extra AD ratio on both his slash and thrust. So once again, this is something only really mattering in the mid to late game. A lot of these changes this patch are like that. And your attack speed increase you're getting from your E is just going up slightly at all ranks. So yeah, this is useful, but it won't affect your first jungle clear. It will only affect your subsequent jungle clears, and your ganks, of course, you'll do a little bit more damage by attacking a little bit faster, but overall, once again, I think these changes don't matter too much. I mean, Xin Zhao is kind of a really early game jungler anyway. Like, giving him extra AD in the late game is useful, but by that time, you probably are already fed and winning the game, or you're already feeding and losing the game most likely, so don't know how much that really is going to matter, but okay, it's a step in the right direction. Xin Zhao does need buffs. So Yone getting some buffs, so getting 5 extra base armor. He's getting an 80% modifier on his Q, so it's going to do a lot less damage to monsters. He already had this on his W, if you remember, so they really kind of want to... either they're trying to want to kick Yone out of the jungle, or they're trying to just weaken it by a lot. So I think they're trying to kick it out of the jungle, but yeah. So here, furthermore, what we're having is his W change. So his W damage is going up by like 15 at all ranks, and health percentage is the same. So 15 at all ranks, not bad, especially at first rank. 10 to 25 is pretty huge buff, but of course at later ranks it's not going to matter too much. But I think this is actually a big change because you max your Q and then you max your E second, so you max W last. So getting this 15 extra base damage is actually a pretty big buff, unlike a lot of the other ones that we took a look at. Next up, the base shield is also going up from 30 to 50, and it's going to scale off of 85% bonus AD instead of 70%. So again, this is going to help quite a bit because the base shield going up by 20 is almost double. So again, Yone is getting a really huge buff in my opinion. And yeah, so Earth is getting a lot of changes. I don't really care too much about that. Let me just open one and see what's going on. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to open all of these individually, but if you guys want to see this, of course, check out the patch notes for yourself. And Slowly Charged Blade is getting a pretty interesting change. So first up, the price is going down by 100, and secondly, the bonus magic damage you get is going to go up from 38 to 50 at base, and at max is going up, you know, from 80 to 92. Essentially, you're just getting 12 extra damage. Now, is this going to matter? In my opinion, no. I think that there are just too many good items in terms of Slowly Charged Blade's niche. So Slowly Charged Blade, what does it do, right? It's basically an attack speed item, right? It's a crit attack speed item. You have Phantom Dancer who gives a lot more attack speed, and you also have Magnetic Blaster who gives extra range and that AoE like static shift effect. So nobody is gonna want to go Slowly Charged Blade instead of one of these two items. These two items are just so much more useful. Maybe only Corki will go for Slowly Charged Blade, but aside from that, pretty much no one is really incentivized to go for a Slowly Charged Blade over like those two items. So I don't think this change is going to matter at all, because I still don't think anybody would really take Slowly Charged Blade over those two items unless the damage here is really that insane, which I don't think increasing the damage by 12 is going to do that. So yeah. So we have the new Wild Pass Dragon Slayer kill coming in like a week's time, and then we have the Coven Evelyn and Coven Zyra releasing when Zyra releases. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this patch. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.